shortly about yourself, your interests, and your engagement in this project, Jess?
Okay, no worries. So I'm obviously from Australia, as you can tell by my accent. I grew up in Melbourne, which is down south. And yeah, I lived there my whole life. Grew up, surfing, hiking, doing all the active, fun Australian stuff. And then in the last 5 years, basically, I decided to move to Spain, which is where I've been for the past 5 years. And yeah, that's been going good. And yeah, I've been involved in this project for the past year. We've worked together with Mark trying to get some things done for the book. And honestly, it's been really, really heartwarming writing about my country. I'd really taken for granted all of the beautiful stuff we have there, the wildlife, the scenery, the reefs and all that. So it's been like a homecoming, really. So yeah, feeling super grateful.
Thanks for sharing. So you mentioned the word homecoming, and maybe you could tell us more, like things that you've discovered while researching the book about your country that you didn't know before, Jess.
Yeah, of course. So obviously I was well aware of all the crazy things we've got there. We've got national parks in every inch of the country. Got reefs. The Great Barrier Reef, for example, is one of the biggest coral reef systems in the world. And when I did live there, we went up a few times and did plenty of trips around the islands, Fitzroy Island, places like that. And I was well aware of the beauty that was on the coast. But when I was researching the book, one thing that was super interesting was all the rich Aboriginal history and sites that are inside the country, particularly in the north
Yeah.
and the center. So yeah, I mean, I was well aware of all of Peru and all those things, but this was like an opportunity to take a deeper dive into the region. And yeah, I'd love to plan a big road trip around the whole country, but it's a massive country. So
Yeah.
anyone that's planning on going on there needs to really, really try and find out as much as they can before they go.
Yeah, it's actually one of the biggest countries in the world. Yeah, maybe sixth or something like in top 10 of biggest countries.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a continent. Like that's how big Australia is.
Okay, and what is one thing
Mm.
you believe that people outside from Australia would never guess about if they haven't been to Australia?
I think, based on the amount of people that have asked me this question, which is going to sound ridiculous, but it's the truth, people think that we ride kangaroos to school. No, that is not a joke. I have been asked, no, seriously, I've been asked so many times by people here in Spain, people from all over the world, do you have kangaroos as pets? Do you ride them to school? No, guys, like this is not a thing.
It's actually the first time I'm hearing about it in terms of like
Yeah.
it could be a real phenomenon.
I mean, I never rode a kangaroo to school and I don't know anyone that did. So we'll just go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned you are a big fan of hiking, and maybe you can mention top three hiking points you recommend tourists to visit when they are in Australia.
Definitely. Okay, so Springbok National Park up in Queensland, that's a must. The Grampians down in Victoria, where I'm from, which is absolutely beautiful. And obviously the Blue Mountains National Park in Sydney, well, near Sydney, which I think is probably the most easily accessible for travelers. And if you're coming with a shorter itinerary, that's one that you could easily slip in.
And what's special about these Blue Mountains? Could you tell us more?
Many things. I mean, obviously, as we know, Australia is a massive country, and I think just being there really gives you a perspective and a depth of the appreciation for how small we are and how grand the landscape is. And I think if you can manage to squeeze in a trip there at sunrise or sunset, and you get to watch all the mountains light up, and yeah, it's just magical.
The name is magical already. You can imagine the
Yeah,
experience.
definitely.
So maybe you're gonna tell us about your favorite local dishes.
Yeah, I'll go for it. So in Australia, I mean, it's not like Italy where you've got pasta or Greece where you've got, the big Greek salads and souvlaki and things like that. In Australia, we have some classic dishes. We've got basically the Vegemite on toast, which is like a spread. It's a bit salty. I think it's similar to something they have in England, but butter on. In terms of meals, we've got like a roast, so a big Sunday roast with gravy, vegetables, and if you eat meat, you can have meat, or if you're like me, I just have potatoes or other vegetables on top of vegetables. And then obviously for like a dessert, I'd say we've got like the lamington, or you could do like a pavlova cake.
Okay. And what about top beaches? Your favorites, maybe.
Oh my God. That's impossible, honestly. Like the whole country is surrounded with stunning beaches, beautiful bays, like hidden coves, everything you could want. Personally, one of my favorite beaches is on Fitzroy Island. It's called Nudie Beach, and it's stunning in like well, yeah, year round, really. I mean, you could go in winter and it still should be a bit nice and sunny. And yeah, you'll get to see wildlife. I think last time we were there, we went snorkeling with the stingrays. And I remember actually a shark down at the bottom as well. And yeah, getting a bit freaked out.
Yeah, sounds amazing. You are actually very lucky to have all these coastal sites. And what about, let's say we have 1 week of unlimited budget. What would you recommend to do in this time in Australia?
Okay, I think your 1 week, I mean, it's a massive country, let's be honest. 1 week, you can't see it all. If it's your first time visiting, I'd recommend at least starting in Northeast, so in Queensland. You have to tick off the Great Barrier Reef and the Daintree Forest. That's a must. Then you could work your way down to Sydney, do a bit of the city stuff like the Sydney Harbour Bridge, the Opera House, head out to the Blue Mountains National Park, and wind up your 1 week trip in my city, Melbourne, which is right down the south. And right there, you can enjoy a mix of culture, sport, music, live events, art, everything. We've got it down in Melbourne. So, yeah, I'd recommend that.
I bet you love your city. You mentioned it in a couple of ways.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Yeah.
In terms of security, is it like a safe place to visit? Let's say if it's a solo traveler, are there any things that tourist needs to be aware of?
I think Australia is a very safe place for solo travelers, especially if you're a female. Bigger cities, obviously, you have to have general caution as you do anywhere around the world. And also, if you are a solo traveler and you do plan on venturing out into the outback or the rural areas, it's important to prepare ahead with maps and things like that, just because there's not always internet coverage and you may get cut off, which can become quite dangerous if you haven't prepared ahead of time.
Are there
Yeah.
any things like of adaptation? If let's say some people want to move there, maybe even not travelers, like are there things that you would like them to know before they make a decision?
Honestly, I can say based on my experience living abroad, I think Australia is a wonderful country for anyone that's interested in living there. In terms of having to adapt to the culture, I don't think there's many problems because we're a very multicultural country, sorry. Yeah, we're a company now. No. Yeah, I mean, you find people from all over the world, and I think that's what makes Australia so great is that, you can find people from your country, you can mix with others, and
Yeah,
most of us are warm and open and friendly. So I think it's not like you're going to have a big cultural shock, when you arrive to Australia.
lovely. And
Mm.
let's say, what is one thing that makes you proud of your country?
So many things. Okay, I'm going to go with a few things because I can't narrow it down. So it's the wildlife. I love that we have such unique wildlife, kangaroos, emus, all of that. I think it's so cool. The second thing is definitely the landscape. You have beaches, mountains, everything you could ever want.
Yeah. Sorry, I have this
Yeah.
like fly to me.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm like,
I
where
saw
did
that.
this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my God. We're okay. We're okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last thing I'm going to say that I love about my country is culture and just places like Melbourne, example, where you can be whoever you want to be, wear what you want, dress how you want, work and live how you want, and it's all celebrated. It's very like, it's empowering, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, and what is one thing no one knows about Jess, about yourself, that you would like to share today?
One thing about me that no one knows. I don't know. Hey, I'm pretty open, I'd say. One thing people don't know, well, I'm probably going to move countries next year as well, so we'll figure it out.
Okay. And as a traveler also, and also as the author of the Australian book, why do you think your book is the best travel guidebook about Australia?
I think you can't go wrong with a local's perspective. And, you can research and find information online, but when you listen and learn from a local, you really gain a deeper perspective and you find insights that you can't find online or through guidebooks that are written by people that haven't lived there or traveled there extensively.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And what is one thing you would like to share about Izimark Publishing and the mission we are all focused on together?
I strongly believe in what the company is going for. I think that authentic travel and conscious travel is the way to go, especially for a more sustainable future for travel in general. I mean, it's wonderful to go to big destinations and tick off the bucket list items, but that's one thing. And then getting to know a place authentically is another. And I think that's exactly what this company is trying to do. And that's why I'm 100% behind the vision.
Awesome. Is there anything you would like to add? Maybe a question we didn't discuss that you would like to talk more?
I think we've covered it all. I mean, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you, Jess, and
Thank you too.
it was lovely to meet you. And yeah, Australia, I think, has so many things that are famous, but also so many things that aren't. And maybe you can
Mm.
tell us a couple of secrets, like hidden gems coming from Australia that you know or you discovered while researching for the book.
Yeah, definitely. Everywhere. I think if you have like a limited itinerary and a short time in the country, you can do things that you wouldn't expect. For example, in Melbourne, you obviously may not have time to go out and do day trips to all the big destinations. So you could, for example, go to the St. Kilda Pier and then at night you can actually see penguins there. So I mean, that's a little random
Amazing, yeah.
thing that most people don't know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't expect penguins, right? But yeah, it's there. Another thing I would say is, oh man, there's way too many, let's be real. Up north, I think Fitzroy Island is obviously like very popular, but in Cairns, which is right near it, I would say that the town of Kurunda is definitely worth exploring, even though it's often overlooked for the Daintree rainforest and like the more popular areas around. I think if you're interested in getting an insight into Aboriginal culture and the wildlife scene and all of that as well, it's definitely worth it. Sorry, that's the last thing. Lucky Bay in Western Australia, that's a must see as well.
How you call it?
Mm.
You got disconnected.
Lucky Bay.
Lucky Red. Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, and In your opinion, Jess, what is the most Australian thing to do?
In Australia.
Yeah,
Oh gosh,
maybe there
the
is
most
something universal that you can do anywhere, and you can say, "Oh yeah, this is an Australian doing it."
oof, the most Australian thing to do. Gosh, head down to the beach with your hat on, crack open a cold beer, and say, "Cheers, mate!" Ching, like that. That is a classic Australian move.
Okay, okay, sounds like a good mood there. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's I love talking to you, and I don't know, I feel like I sense something coming from the other part of the world, from you and from your energy, and it's very lovely and very like bright. So thank you for being here,
Yeah.
part of the company. Okay, Jess, then I guess I'm gonna let you go. What's your plan for the evening?
Going out for a Mexican dinner, and you?
Nice. I'm gonna play with my nephew, I promise. So,
Yeah, okay, that sounds lovely. Well, thank you for your time, hey?
timing, it's 9 p.m. here.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's late, hey?
Yeah, it's kind of late, so I'm gonna have, yeah, 1 hour. See, okay, enjoy your Mexican dinner and
Thank you.
keep in touch. And I'm thankful for meeting you today. Take care, Jess.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.